Okay, just a random note before we start. I just now realized that Palisman is a portmanteau of pal and talisman. That seems obvious, but I didn't get that. I thought it was a reference to some fancy, obscure Latin term that I had not learned. But enough of exposing my own ignorance, let's talk about Luce's Palisman. In episode 6 of the new season of the Owl House, Luce is going to face a dilemma. She is going to be the one left without a Palisman, even though the other students in her class are matching with their Palismen. Thus, Luce feels left out, an outsider once more. Now, I assume that this is because she's a human, though there could possibly be another reason that we are not yet aware of. But I do believe that Luce, though she is going to be sad about this, is going to eventually triumph over her circumstances and get herself a Palisman, either by the end of the episode or sometime before the end of the season. Now, why am I so sure about this? Is it just because this is a show where good usually wins in the end? Well, kinda, but it's a lot more than that. The basic dynamic of the show in regards to Luce's relationship with the magical world tends to repeat itself. Luce is told that she cannot do something because she's a human, and through some combination of luck, talent, and a lot of gusto, she eventually manages to overcome the obstacles facing her and do the thing that everyone told her that she could not do. To briefly recap, she was told she could not perform magic, but she performed it anyway. She was told that she could not attend Hexside, but she found a way to attend Hexside. She was told that she could only practice one kind of magic, but she found a way to practice multiple kinds of magic. I don't necessarily see any real reason why her eventually getting a Palisman would be any different from this. But what exactly will her Palisman be? We see her with a cardinal in the promos for Season 2A, and a lot of people have theorized that this could possibly be her Palisman. I think it's a reasonable theory, though I'm not entirely sure about it, so I want to investigate it. Does this cardinal resemble a Palisman? Yes. I don't see any reason why we should automatically dismiss the idea that it's a Palisman. Considering that we have not seen this clip before, and considering that Tara said that all the clips in the promos were of Season 2A, the most reasonable assumption to make would be that this clip is from the upcoming episode, Hunting Palismen. But is this Palisman Luce's exactly? That's something to be unsure about. There are not really any other good options. The other option, perhaps, is the Golden Guard, whom I am quite certain will appear in this episode. For a character who was made to seem so important right at the start of the season, it's a bit strange that we have not seen him at all since then. Now, either we were all faked out about him being a major character, or he is going to make a reappearance relatively soon. I think the latter option is by far the more likely one, and if this is the case, I think the episode in which the Golden Guard is most likely to reappear is this one, Hunting Palismen. It's explicitly said that Luce is going to face off against an antagonist in the episode description, someone she already knows. And the Golden Guard by far makes the most sense in this regard. I don't know why the Golden Guard would appear in, say, the Ida's Requiem episode or the Hootie episode after that, so if the Golden Guard is going to appear, and not just appear, but play a major role in one of the upcoming episodes, as I think we have reason to believe he will, that episode is most likely going to be this one. Now, what kind of an antagonist is the Golden Guard exactly? Based on how we have seen him act, I do not think he looks like a very formidable antagonist. Now, this is not to say that he's not a talented spellcaster, he clearly is, nor is it to say that he doesn't deserve to have his position at the head of the Emperor's Coven. I think he does. He does seem to be a genuinely talented and strategic ally of the Emperor at this point. But he also seems to be lazy and clownish. A definite buffoon. He seems very much like a spoiled brat. If I had to peg him in modern terms, I'd call him someone who very much prefers incessantly playing video games or snapping selfies of him flexing and posting them on Instagram. And he very much does not seem like someone who would, for instance, take to studying his books. He's the kind of guy who has the intelligence to pass a test, but doesn't because he doesn't work hard enough. Now, there is a long tradition of the buffoonish braggart dating back to ancient Greece, and because I, for some reason, insist on turning each of these analysis videos into history lessons, here we go. In Greek theater, there was a stock character called the Alazon. This was an arrogant buffoon who lacked traditional heroic qualities. If heroes are supposed to be selfless and noble and brave, the Alazon is cowardly, selfish, and a liar. He always puts his own wants and desires above those of other people. This character exaggerates their own abilities and lacks any sort of genuine virtue. He's not a villain or an anti-hero so much as he is a buffoon. A somewhat dangerous buffoon, but still a buffoon. Think, say, Gaston in Beauty and the Beast, for a more modern example. A subtrope of the Alazon is the Miles Gloriosus, a basic idea that you might know if you've spent a lot of time on TV tropes, because they have that listed because it's such a specific and wonderful name that it's hard to pass up. This character is a braggart soldier who lies about his grandiose accomplishments. Think Paroles in All's Well That Ends Well. Now, the Golden Guard, again, does have real talent and real ability, so he does not fit perfectly into this archetype, but I nonetheless think of it when I think of him. This is the person who does not really dream of glory and power so much as he is bored and cheeky and yearning to do anything except that which he is being told to do. So, being clever, he tries and gets someone else to do it for him, as we saw back in Separate Tides. Now, what I am basically saying is that, though I am not 100% certain that he will join Luz, I'm quite certain that he will not remain a major antagonist to Luz as the show progresses. He is not committed enough to stopping her. He is not committed enough to anything except finding a way to get out of his responsibilities. Now, do I believe that she could possibly enlist him as an ally? Yes, I do. Even if the whole idea that the Golden Guard is the son of Emperor Balos is eventually proven correct. Luz could make a case to the Golden Guard that what Balos is doing is monstrous, that it's going to hurt everyone, including him. I think the Golden Guard would listen to that. He is not particularly on firm ideological footing. He seems quite malleable in that department. Now, does any of that mean that I think the cardinal we saw is his Palisman? No, not really. It could be. I'm not entirely ruling it out, but it seems unlikely. It would be very funny if a non-owl bird was his Palisman, considering how his entire attire suggests owlness. But although it would be funny, I think that is a reasonable bit of evidence to back up the assertion that the Palisman is not his. And if it's not his, I don't see who else it could belong to except Luce. I'm not entirely confident that it's hers, but if it's not, I genuinely have no idea whose it is. Also, a cardinal fits Luce. I don't know why, but it just does. If I'm going to intellectualize that statement, I might say that, like a cardinal, Luce is relatively small and unassuming, but she's nonetheless fierce and aggressive when she needs to be. Now, I do hope that Luce's quest to find a Palisman for herself eventually succeeds. Luce is optimistic, and she stays optimistic even when life does not proceed according to her original plan. This is not to say that she's a Pollyanna, this is not to say that she ignores the complexities of life, or that she takes a super romanticized view of it, but she nonetheless maintains an unabashed, unwavering hope that optimism, commitment to one's ideals, and an unyielding desire to correct injustice in the world is the best way to tackling the problems one faces. This is idealism. Perhaps it's a little naive, but it comes from a real place. She's not faking anything. And that idealism is infectious. It spreads to Amity, and one could say it spreads to the viewer as well. I genuinely trust her a lot, both in mundane matters like finding a Palisman and in more grandiose, majestic, paradigm-altering things like helping the world avoid oblivion at the hands of Balos. So we will see what becomes of her. So thank you all for watching. If you liked what you saw today, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Donate to my Patreon if you can and you want to see more videos like this. Keep watching The Owl House. It's a smart and clever show. I think it's getting better with time. It has delivered a lot of really fascinating episodes. And I will say I'm really growing to like Luce more than I once did. She's proving to be a fascinating character. So we will see what happens with her. Anyway, tune in soon for my next analysis. It will be coming soon. That I promise you. Thank you all again. Adios, comrades.